Welcome to a look into the future. We think about what would you do if you can go to the future and ask yourself questions. How do you grow your firm? How do you transition to advisory services that we're talking more and more about in the marketplace today? Well, luckily, we don't need time travel. We don't need the Avengers. We don't need any fancy stuff. We can ask the time traveler himself, Paul Latham, and learn from the knowledge he already has as he made this journey already for his firm and his clients. And we're super lucky because Paul brings three amazing things with him. Number one, he built a successful accounting practice in the UK. So he understands us accountants. He is one of us. He's an accountant. He built his firm to an advisory powerhouse, which sold for $45 million in 2001. Number two, he's even taken a business public, building it to a market value in excess of $400 million. So he really understands what business owners need to do and what we as accountants need to provide. And finally, as I said, third, we don't need to invent time travel. We don't need PIM particles. We can just ask Paul and learn from the transition he made 20 years ago in the UK into providing business advisory services. As that trend is without a doubt here today. I hear from more and more firms. They want to get into business advisory services. They're not sure how. That's why we're here today, to help you with the how to get started. I'm Garrett Wagner, your host, and I'm joined by the man, the legend, Paul Latham, Hayden Rock Solutions. And Paul, we talked a lot about between these episodes, and we work together with firms, and we do different things around the profession. We speak at conferences. How do we really kind of take what we've done so far and expand upon it? So we talked about, I think the best way to do is, Paul, have you kind of do like a little bit of a deep dive compression of where we've been so far, bring this together for everybody. Let's use the visual aids we did before and just help people really start to bring this together and internalize it so they stop being so, oh my God, I don't know what to do with business advisory services. It's this big black hole. I can't do it. Let's once again learn from your knowledge, bring it together so we don't get replaced by robots. And as you say, we become the relevant advisors to our clients. So Paul, with that, let's kick it in gear and let's have you bring all this together in one simple, unified narration.
Hi, Garrett. Yeah, looking forward to it. I can't believe we're on to our 29th episode now. So what I'm actually going to do, as we discussed and as you said, just try and bring together many of the concepts that we talked about in the first 28 episodes. And I'm going to end up in a place that I actually call the 6 key aspects of business advice. But let me just start by sharing my screen. Hopefully we can see that. You can see that. So I'm just going to minimize you. Okay, so trying to take you through some background really here now. I've talked a lot through these episodes about the structure of business advisory, the importance of building a system. The great thing about a system is you can be coached, help build your confidence. Basically what you build up is what I call a painting by numbers approach. Let's look at the basics. Really any advisory approach or any typical consultative style, you go through this now, where, how approach. Now, where's the business today? We use a diagnostic. We happen to use the BIS diagnostic. And that means that we can benchmark future progress when we're working with that business. Where is the business going? What's the business direction? I call that, or we call that, the business vision. And then how? That is split into 2 parts. It's the plan to make the vision happen, but it's also the plan combined with the desire to actually implement that plan. And you'll remember from the conversations that we've had before, I then pull those 3 items together, vision, plan, and desire, and I call them the 3 ingredients of business success. And basically, that structure allows the advisor to lead the discussion. If you as the advisor lead the discussion, then your client will follow you. They're looking to follow you. They need help to grow their business. Essentially, what you have to do with those 3 ingredients of business success is to bring them all together. They all need to be in place if you're going to maximize business potential. Before we go any further, there are a couple of what I'd call basic fundamentals. When you're talking to a client, you really always need to sort of ascertain pretty early on, what's the time scale of this client? I use a general rule of thumb. If that client is less than, say, 5 years from their eventual exit, and that might mean sale to a third party or a business succession, then I believe that your job as an advisor is to concentrate on that exit and help them to maximize their value from that exit. However, if they're more than 5 years away from an exit, then your job, I believe, is to concentrate on maximizing the value of the business. And 99 times out of 100 with a client, that means they want a growth strategy for their business. So assuming we get to that place, then when we get to that sort of area where we've decided, yes, we want a growth strategy, and we've gone through that contextual preamble, you get to something that I call the 6 key aspects of business advice. These are 6 areas of business advice that I have in my tool bag. And I basically believe, and have believed for many years, that those 6 areas represent pretty much 80% of anything that you need to know about providing general business advice. And frankly, you don't need to be a consultancy expert to learn this structure and learn these 6 key aspects of business advice. So I'm building up to this now. So those 6 key aspects of business advice, they're based around 4 key business owner questions. And I believe that these are the 4 questions that every business owner ultimately should be able to answer. And they're very simply, why, what, how, and did we? So looking at them in turn, starting at the top there, and probably the most important, why are we in business? What's our purpose? Second question, what value do we bring for customers? Why do our customers choose us? Third, how? How are we going to deliver the value to the customers? How are we going to deliver what we promised to do? And then fourth, and you can only look at this one afterwards, if you like, or towards the end, did we? Did we succeed? And I think you need to look at that did we succeed from 2 perspectives. Firstly, the customer. Did we succeed and delight the customer? But also from our own perspective, did we succeed and create a win for us? And usually that means growing profit, or it might mean growing business value, but whatever definition of success is for our business. So if we now take that sort of preamble into these 6 key areas of business advice, sort of just going back to that now, I think once you've established then the time scale, once you've started talking to a client, then you really concentrate initially on what sort of business do we have today. And the number one area of, or key aspect of business advice that I always look at is to decide, so what type of strategy are we going to follow here? Is it an add value strategy, or is it an efficient-led strategy, or do we need to separate? And what we're going to do is go into these and talk about these in later episodes in more detail. But that's number one. Do we need to add value? Are we going to be more efficient, or do we need to separate? Number 2, in terms of what value do we bring for customers, that takes you to key area number 2, which is really all around your value proposition and ultimately a sort of tools that I call 4 ways to grow a business. If we then move on to the how are we going to deliver value to customers? And that's number 3, which is we need to think about how we're going to deliver efficiently. And that takes us to a tool called the 7 wastes. But it's not just delivering efficiently. We also need to think about how we're going to deliver effectively. And essentially, I take clients through a thought process where we consider what type of resources are going to most effectively deliver growth for this business. Are they tangible resources or intangible resources? And once you've gone through those first 4 steps, you can get to number 5, which is, did we succeed? And that means measure what matters. And there are 3 key areas of business measurement. Basically, you're looking at the past, you're looking at the future, and you're looking at the present. And that means things like key performance indicators. So that takes us through 5 key aspects of business advice. And ultimately, that takes us then to number 6, which is the big one in my head. Number 6, why are we in business? What's our business purpose? It's sort of like the meaning of life question. But in terms of a business purpose, you need to consider the leadership and the people and the culture. And I call this particular area culture eats strategy for breakfast. So having gone through those, I'm just going to re-summarize them. In summary, I think we're looking at advisory as a painting by numbers exercise. Think about now, where, how, vision, plan, desire, the 3 ingredients of business success. We're there to clarify direction and maximize the business potential. We need to think about timescale. Is it less than 5 years from an exit? Then focus on destination planning. And usually that means involving a destination planning expert. But more often than not, the client is more than 5 years from an exit, in which case you're looking at a growth advisory focus. And that takes you to those 4 business owner questions. Why are we in business? What's our purpose? What is our value proposition? How are we going to deliver our service? Did we succeed, both for the customer and our business? And that takes us to the 6 key aspects of business advice. Number 1, add value or be more efficient or separate. What are you going to do? Number 2, what's your value proposition? 4 ways to grow. Number 3, deliver efficiently, 7 wastes. Number 4, deliver effectively, resources. Number 5, measure what matters and focus on those three key areas. And number 6, why are you in business? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. And really that sums it all up, I think, Gareth. I know I've gone through that really quickly, but one of the benefits of a podcast or a video is that our watchers can hopefully go back and maybe slow it down a bit, watch 2 or 3 times and re-listen to some of this. But we're going to go into it, I think, in more detail in later episodes.
Yeah, I think that really condensed all that we've talked about so far into one solid stream. That you can go watch it at 2, 3 times, kind of like really get comfortable with this, just like you're comfortable with the tax code or the gap code, depending on which side of profession you sit on. You want to gain comfort with being that relevant advisor to your clients, because you want to be seen as proactive, you want to be seen as forward-looking, you want to be more profitable as a firm, and you want to avoid being replaced by a robot. And to do all those things, you need to add a structure and a system to this confusing world of business advisory services. That's what it's all about, making that transition from backwards looking to forwards looking inside your practice. And then you can also do it for your clients. So Paul, I always love that everything you talk about applies both inside the firm and to their clients. So Paul, I think you're right. We're going to definitely dive in the next batch of episodes into all 6 of those key points and take a deeper dive in each of them. I think that'll help people better understand what these are, gain comfort with them, and then be ready to really impress their clients when they get in front of them and they talk to them about not the past, not their tax return, but the future of their business success, and they know where it's going. And if you want to know where your firm is going and how you stand, how these things, all the things Paul just talked about, how does it apply to you? Take a couple minutes, sign up for your own free biz survey, and get a free objective assessment of how prepared your firm is first for the future and to do this. As a special offer for watching the show, we'll review the results with you, provide some tips, pointers on how you can get started. There's a link below. I encourage you to take the test and see how ready your firm is for future success. As always, I want to thank everybody for watching from the whole team. Click to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And as always, we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.